I'm a 24-year-old woman, and I've been in a loving relationship with my boyfriend, also 24, for several years now. We've always been close with his family, especially his two older sisters, Emily, who is 30, and Diane, who is 32. Both of them are married and have been trying to start families of their own. Family gatherings are a regular occurrence, and I've always felt welcomed by his parents, who treat me like one of their own. Earlier this year, on Mother's Day, Diane had a special announcement to make. She presented her mother with a beautifully wrapped gift. Inside was a tiny baby shoe and a positive pregnancy test. The room filled with joy and excitement as everyone realized that Diane was expecting her first child. There were hugs, tears, and countless congratulations. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and happiness. Emily joined in the celebration and shared that she and her husband were also trying for a baby. This added to the collective excitement, and plans were already being made for future playdates and family events. Later that evening, after the festivities had quieted down, I decided to reach out to both Diane and Emily privately. I sent them a heartfelt text message saying, "Congratulations, I'm so happy for you both. It's a bit emotional for me and my boyfriend because we've recently learned that I'm sterile. I hope I didn't dampen the mood, but I want you to know how genuinely excited I am for you." They responded with kindness and reassurance, offering their support and expressing that they were there for me if I needed anything. Their empathy meant a lot, and I felt closer to them knowing they cared. Unfortunately, a couple of months later, Diane suffered a miscarriage. The news was devastating for everyone. The family rallied around her, offering love and support during such a difficult time. We all grieved the loss, and I tried to be there for her as much as I could, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on. Fast forward to last week, my mother-in-law, MIL, decided to organize a girls' night with me and her daughters. It was a cozy evening filled with laughter, stories, and good food. During the night, my mother-in-law mentioned that she wanted to throw a party for my upcoming birthday. She asked me if I was okay with it and what I would like for the celebration. I appreciated her thoughtfulness, but explained that birthdays have always been a sensitive subject for me. Growing up, my parents would often make my birthdays more about themselves. They would host large parties, inviting their friends and colleagues, and there was excessive drinking involved. My friends and close family were rarely included, and I often felt overlooked on what was supposed to be my special day. Because of those experiences, I preferred something more intimate. I expressed to my mother-in-law that I'd like a small gathering with close family and friends, ideally around 12 people, nothing too extravagant. She was very understanding and assured me that it would be a modest celebration, just as I wanted. We discussed some details, and I felt comfortable and excited about the upcoming party. The day of the party arrived, and I went over early to help my mother-in-law with the preparations. We set up decorations, prepared food, and chatted happily as we got everything ready. As the time for the party approached, Emily and Diane arrived with their husbands. To my surprise, they had also brought along their in-laws and some friends. Before we knew it, the small gathering had turned into a crowd of over 40 people. My mother-in-law looked visibly stressed as we scrambled to accommodate the unexpected guests. We had to make last-minute runs to the store to buy more food and drinks, and the intimate atmosphere I had hoped for was quickly disappearing. Despite the hiccup, I tried to make the best of the situation. I mingled with the guests, many of whom I didn't know, and tried to enjoy the party. After dinner, it was time to open gifts. My mother-in-law and father-in-law gave me a thoughtful present, and my boyfriend surprised me with something sweet and personal, which made me smile. Then, Emily and Diane handed me a small package. I was touched that they had gotten me something, especially since I had asked for small gifts only if they wanted to. I opened the package and found a small t-shirt in a size S. I wear an extra large, so it struck me as odd. The shirt had the words, "Best Future Aunt," printed on it. Additionally, there was a handwritten note that said X2 next to the print. Inside the package were 2 positive pregnancy tests and a photo of both Emily and Diane standing side by side, each touching their stomachs in a classic pregnancy pose. I felt a surge of emotions wash over me: confusion, shock, and a deep sense of hurt. I looked up at them and asked softly, "Are you pregnant?" They both beamed and said yes. Emily then took the shirt from my hands and held it up for everyone to see, announcing their pregnancies to the entire gathering. At that moment, I felt overwhelmed. The party, which was supposed to be a small celebration for my birthday, had turned into a platform for their joint pregnancy announcement. Given my own struggles with sterility, it was particularly painful. I felt my eyes filling with tears, and before I knew it, I was starting to cry. Feeling unable to control my emotions, I quickly excused myself and ran outside. My boyfriend noticed and followed me, concerned. Outside, I had a panic attack. My breath was shallow, and I couldn't stop the tears. My boyfriend held me, trying to calm me down. He was supportive and understanding, reminding me to breathe and assuring me that it was okay to feel the way I did. After some time, I managed to regain my composure. We decided to go back inside to be polite and perhaps say our goodbyes. When we returned, the atmosphere inside was celebratory. Everyone was congratulating Emily and Diane and their husbands. There was laughter and excitement, and it was clear that the focus was now entirely on them. I felt invisible and deeply saddened. My boyfriend noticed how uncomfortable I was and suggested that we leave. He spoke briefly with his parents to explain, and we quietly exited the party without drawing attention. Later that evening, as we settled at home, I received several text messages from some of my boyfriend's extended family members. The messages were harsh and accusatory. They chastised me for ruining Emily and Diane's pregnancy announcement, telling me to grow up and that it was just a birthday party. Their words stung, and I felt both hurt and confused. I hadn't intended to make a scene. I simply couldn't control my emotional reaction to a very personal and sensitive situation. My boyfriend was furious when he saw the messages. He wanted to confront his family and defend me, even if it meant causing a rift. I appreciated his support, but didn't want to be the cause of any family disputes. I urged him to consider the long-term impact and suggested that we take some time before responding. The next day, my mother-in-law and father-in-law called me to apologize. They acknowledged that things had gotten out of hand and that the party had not turned out as I had hoped. They expressed regret over the way Emily and Diane had handled their announcement and assured me that they hadn't intended for my feelings to be hurt. Their understanding provided some comfort, but I was still grappling with my emotions. I spent the following days reflecting on the situation. I understood that Emily and Diane were excited about their pregnancies, especially after Diane's previous loss. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that they had been insensitive to my feelings, especially knowing about my sterility and how I had confided in them before. Announcing their pregnancies at my birthday party, which had already been overtaken by uninvited guests, felt like a disregard for my feelings. I also considered the messages from other family members. While I didn't want to cause tension, I felt that their reactions were unfair. I had the right to my emotions, and I hadn't intended to ruin anything. My boyfriend continued to stand by me, offering support and love. He suggested that we talk to Emily and Diane directly to express how their actions had affected me. We arranged to meet with them in a neutral setting. During the conversation, I calmly explained how I felt. I told them that while I was genuinely happy for them, their method of announcing their pregnancies had been hurtful to me. I reminded them of my own struggles and how I had shared those with them in confidence. Emily and Diane listened, and while Emily seemed to understand and offered an apology, Diane was more defensive. She expressed that they had a right to share their news whenever and however they wanted, and that it wasn't fair for me to make it about myself. The conversation was tense, and while some things were cleared up, there was still a lingering discomfort. I realized that perhaps not everyone would understand my perspective, and that was something I had to accept. Moving forward, I decided to focus on my own well-being. I sought support from close friends and considered speaking with a counselor to help process my feelings about infertility and family dynamics. My boyfriend remained a pillar of support, and we grew even closer as we navigated this challenging time together. In the end, I learned that setting boundaries and advocating for my emotional health was essential. While I couldn't control others' actions, I could choose how to respond and take care of myself.